shepherd. I'm a servant of the Lord. I'm his child. I do what he tells me to do. And before we get out of the church, Dr. Ruff, God bless you, we see something else that's hung out there by the devil. So you can expect to be tested. Where do I get that? Well, the first test comes in the first two verses. After these things. What things? You read the 21st chapter. I ain't going on all of that. But a whole lot of things had happened. But the major thing that had happened, he had to put his son and concubine, Sarah's maidservant, out of the house. And it hurt him to put his son out of the house. That's a test. But the Lord said, don't worry about what Sarah's doing. You just do what she told you. I got the child in my care. Y'all ought to help me right there. Every now and then, decisions are made that cause us to act the way we ought not act, contrary to what God has directed, that result in something that we hurt for later on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the first test comes, and then he said to him in that second verse, now, take your son. And look at the language. Thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest. Now, I don't want to sound harsh, but the Lord is saying, thine only son. It looks like the Lord didn't count the son by the concubine.
All right, Reverend.
Hagar. It looked like the Lord didn't count. He said, thine only. And how I have to perceive that is, thy only legitimate. Don't y'all get quiet?
Don't walk there. Pastor. Oh my goodness.
The one that you got the way you ought to get.
All right.
I know somebody quiet on me. The one you got right. I know that's another one. But in my business, spiritually, he doesn't count. However, look at the goodness of God. When Abraham put Hagar out, God told Abraham, don't worry about it, because I'll make of that boy also a great nation. It ain't none of his fault.
Thank you, Lord.
It ain't none of his fault that somebody act crazy.
Amen.
I'm not going to penalize the child.
That's right.
I'm going to bless the child.
Come on, Doc.
In spite of the parent.
That's good.
I sure could hang out right there. Somebody get mad at me.
Amen.
But when I look at these first and second verses, the Lord said, take your only son, get thee into a land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains that I'll show you. Now, this is your only son. This is the way the promise is going to be fulfilled. But I'm telling you to take that boy and offer him as a sacrifice. Anybody with me? And once you offer him as a sacrifice, he is no more. You turn him over to me, and sacrifices then were sacrifices that actually caused blood to be spilled, life to be taken. The Lord said, I want your son, your only son, the one you love, as a sacrifice. So you can expect, first of all, you can expect tests. But secondly, when I look at verses 3 through 6, when you have a test, you ought to focus on promises of God and not explanation.
All right.
You ought not go to reasoning with God. You ought to just hear what God said and act on God's promises. Because you see, God does things mysteriously. And God is not going to actually allow me in my finiteness to walk into the realm of the infinite and understand what God is saying. So I don't act on my understanding what God is telling me to do. But I act on my faith in what God has promised. It's right there in the third verse. Look what it says. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, saddled his ass, took two of his young men with him, and Isaac clave the wood for the burnt offering, rose up, went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place. Abraham said unto the young men, watch this, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder, worship, and come again. That's the promise. That's it. Lord, help me right there. God has promised a nation. I'll be the father of many nations. I don't have but one boy. I don't know how and what's going to happen on the top of the mountain. But I do know we'll be back. Oh, they got that yet. I can't act on how I know we're going to get back, except God has promised. Anybody with me? Whenever God promises, you go on and carry out what you're supposed to do and let God fulfill his promise. God is not obligated to explain to me how he's going to take care of me in 2012. Anybody here? He just wants me to walk by faith. And if I walk by faith, God will provide. If I walk by faith, God will lighten up the dark area. If I walk by faith, God will put money in my pocket, food on my table.
Thank you, Lord. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm saying I'm not going up here because I understand what's going on. But I know when I get up there, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to worship, build an altar, and I'm coming back. I know that the Lord has sent an offering was to be made. A sacrifice.